it's a good thing to bust out every once in a while. It really is. It'll surprise them. It's totally counterable, but then again, everything's totally counterable. So just understand that the manipulation of timing and the orc's perceptions of what you're doing. If physics had gone ghouls, I guarantee that would not have worked, because the orc would have been much more aware of a Destro tech or a possible Destro tech, and then he would have seen the worms. So keep that in mind. The fiends were kind of the trick that allowed him to get away with that tech. And the orc played far too passively. Get game 2 up. Sorry to be talking so much. Game 2, 1 minute mark, 1x speed on SK Rain's point of view. And I'll talk a little bit about this matchup on Tyrannistan. As far as Tyrannistan goes, I hear people saying in this matchup it's an orc map. I hear people saying it's an undead map. I actually think it's an undead map. The reason for that being it's almost impossible to stop the level 3, which makes it such a bad map for orc versus human, because they get level 3, level 2 water elementals pretty much guaranteed. And for that same reason, undead's going to get level 2 coil guaranteed. So I guess the trick then is because if they do a fiend build, which is more common on this map than ghouls, do what you can to slow down the undead from getting that level 3, being aggressive on the Death Knight, taking much, forcing him to waste coils, forcing him to take damage. Can't do either of those things. Slow down his creeping as best as you can. And to give the game away right now, Rain is going to be doing a fiend push, which means instead of teching very quickly like in the last game, he's going to be teching very slowly. And again, just messing with time. That's the whole idea behind Rain's strategy. DNA is a very good orc player, by the way. It doesn't. I don't know if anyone's heard of him. I'm sure most people have heard of him, but he's a good hero orc, a strong player. He's beaten some top undeads. Like this is a very good match, I think. Anyways, let's get this unpaused. 3, 2, 1, unpause. A really important thing to know at all levels of play, and for all races, is what creep route will give you the level you want. And I already mentioned this is a map where you want your level 3 quickly. And if you have level 2 at the 3 minute mark, or the 4 minute mark, you're behind. You want to be getting level 3 as fast as you can. So the camps that'll the most common creep route I think for level 3 is the Goblin Lab camp, followed by the Apprentice Wizard camp, followed by the shop, followed by Kobold Tunneler. And if you follow that with Fog of War off, you'll see what I mean, but it's basically a straight line along the top corner or the bottom corner of the map. And that's a guaranteed level 3 right if you get every creep kill. And they're all, notice they're all close together, they're all by your base, and they're all as far as possible from your space. And that's part of what makes this free level 3 map and human. Looking at Rain's build, the other route you can take, I've seen Lucifer do it a few times, is to creep to level 2, being the Goblin Lab and the Apprentice Wizards, and then to head to the Merc camp, which is something that the orc won't expect. And you'll notice Rain expects him to go to the shop, DNA expects him to go to the shop, and he does. So you can go to the Merc camp, and then I think you have to creep the Rogue Wizard camp or the Murloc Nightcrawler camp for the level 3. But doing those 3 camps will get you pretty much almost level 3. So know your creep routes. Also know what camps drop what items. If you're orc harassing and you see the Death Knight with a certain item, you can tell what camp he's crept. The Merc camp, the benefit of creeping that faster is it drops a better item. You get Potion of Greater Invulnerability, Potion of Greater Healing, Potion of Greater Mana, etc. from that. Whereas from the Goblin Merchant, the best item you get is like Sentry Wards, Lightning Shield if you're a human, it's pretty nice, but not the best items by any means. So checking inventory is a huge part of this map, because you're forced to stay away from the undead player early on. You can't head straight to harass, because you'll take more damage than you'll put out, than you'll accomplish. Anyways, an interesting thing I want to talk about is DNA's creep route. He went for the quick level 2, which is the Goblin Lab and the Apprentice Wizard camp, and he's able to finish up before undead can even. And the reason for that is the undead hero's late, because he did a standard fiend build. He sent a grunt to the Merc camp, which is this is, like I said, there's a chance he's creeping that, so it's important to know. And then his grunts that he isn't using are going to the Rogue Wizard camp, and then the Kobold Geomancer camps in the middle. And that's actually going to give the orc level 3 while he's harassing, which is a pretty strong creep route, and I really advocate that for orc players out there. It lets you harass and be effective. The timing is such that you'll get to the shot exactly at the same time as the undead is getting there. And and you can do some damage. Notice I said that, and now he's not even harassing, he's creeping. Why is that? He's probably because he's noticed 8 at the end had dust, be that there are 4 fiends out and there were skeletons. He pretty much knew that he wasn't going to get a kill. So what he did is he crept camp, he soloed the camp next to it, which denies the undead player from getting that kill, right? It's right next to the shop. Now the undead player can't get his level 3. So, I mean, in a way, he just harassed the undead without harassing him. Yeah, that sounds kind of funny, but, you know, right now, the undead player should be getting level 3, and now he has to go all the way over here for level 3. Which just allows DNA to do more damage, and it gives him more time to slow down the level 3. So, you know, actually DNA is doing really well right now, surprisingly. Anyways, Rain's the illusion down to tavern camps. When you don't see the Grunt's Blade Master, then you have to ask yourself where they are, right? Good play by Rain's perspective. Looking back at his base, he's still Necropolis. I guarantee DNA has not seen that right now. He has assumed a tech. I don't know if he knows it's late tech or not. He assumes it's late tech based on the number of fiends out. But he might be thinking that they're illusions. But either way, what DNA is doing right now, he's gone Shadow Hunter, which I advocate versus fiends because Hex at level 1 is much better than Stomp at level 1. He's gone Beastie and he's teching tier 3. Hitting burrows, always a good idea when you're undead, by the way, and with fiends, and even with ghouls. Be aggressive on the burrows. And if you can't find the orc player at any time and you need to be harassing him, or when you think you have an advantage, hit his burrows and force support. Biggest advice I can give any race versus orc, actually. Anyways, looking at this fight, the Shadow Hunter comes out, which tips it in the orc's favor, but it was initially for grunts, level Knight, and 7. So, and plus skeletons. There's just no way the orc could have won that. Now that the Shadow Hunter's out, it tips in the orc's favor, I think some, but you'll notice the DPS of this is just way too and he's forced to run. Which gives Rain full control attacking the orc base, forcing the orc to repair. It limits his limits the amount of wood he's getting, which is important when you're teching tier 3. You like your wood, particularly because he's going to want the 200 wood for the burrow upgrade. What I want to stress, though, the tech is now 70%, I'd say, Rain's tech. I just want to stress how much the timing has changed from what Rain is doing to the cookie cutter, and the cookie cutter to what Rain's doing. He, oh, nice Hex to prevent the coil, by the way. I want to point that out. Hex to disrupt coil is a huge benefit of going Shadow Hunter. Because Rain's manipulated his tech, he's got an army that, even though it's an equal to the orc player cannot disarm me. You know, fiends, the damage that they do freaking is crazy compared to grunts. And the level 3 coil, the level 2 coil, level 3 Death Knight cancels out whatever direct damage the Blade Master can do. So anyways, while the orc player's around healing, which is another great advantage getting them to doing damage like this, they can't heal during the fight. Level 1 Shadow Hunter, he goes to creep the Merc camp. And he hires, notice he hires, first of all, the Shadow Priest, which gives him healing. I'm not going to say you need that for this, you don't, but notice it's healing the Death Knight right now. That much better to have the higher health Death Knight. So many undead players make the mistake of letting their Death Knight soak up damage creep, and then the Blade Master just wails on it, and you have to port or spend money on potions. It's just, the better health Knight's in, the better your chances of winning the game are. And this says with how much mana you can keep. He also got the Scroll of the Beast, which, when you're a strategy like Fiend with mass damage, you can hear that that's a very useful item to get. Notice also he got Mud Golem, and if you had on Rain's point of view, you'll notice the Mud Golem gets its own little circle around it. That's because he's going to be manually casting slow on using the Mud Golem. And slow, not only will that, if you can reveal the Blade Master and kill it more easily with slow, see he casts it on the Grunt, it just gives him more time to do damage to this Grunt. Now, what is the Orc doing? There's not a whole lot he can do right now because he went 1 bestiary. He can't pump Kodos as fast as he should be pumping Kodos. He lost his lounge, so he can't really play aggressive with his army because any damage he takes, he can't heal right away, and then he's lost the game basically. So what should he be doing? Point. He's in trouble. A little earlier on, I think he could have been doing more damage to the fiends using the Blade Master. Just couple hits, then windwalk, couple hits, then windwalk. At least force coils, things like that. Because there are no statues out, he doesn't have unlimited mana. But anyways, before this phase to fight, forced